Hello viewers, welcome to CodeForAny. Fruit markets apps inside. Today need to create here the common service called class. We need to develop here. First of all, we need to inputs here the HTTP library. We need to import here. First of all, we need to open here the pubs devs and to open this here the HTTP package. And now need to install here. Now need to copy this package here like this, and we need to insert here for this data. Now need to save here, and we need to create here the common class inside the new files. Create here the new files and to give this name here the service call dot dots like this. We need to set here the name. We need to configure here. Now we need to making here the class and to name given this here the service call like here. We need to set here for this data. Now, first of all, we need to making here the type depths. We need to declare here for the success blocks and failure blocks. We need to response. We need to needs here. Now need to write down here the type depth and to response success like here's, and to write down here the futures brackets inside the void callback like here's, and we need to write down here the functions, and we need to pass this here the map and string, and we need to get here the dynamic like here. So need to returning these types, and another types depths we need to set here the resource success, response success, and response fail like two type depths we need to declare here is equal to need to copy here the future voids and functions blank, and to set here the dynamic only. Return here's dynamic type like this. Set here's and to configures for the API need to set here's. Now we need to import this here the package for the HTTP. Now need to write down here the import. Need to write down here the package slash colon slash, and we need to write down here the HTTP package HTTP dots like this, and to give this here the alias as HTTP. And we need to multipart for we need to need this here the path to write down here the input, and we need to set this here the package colon slash, and we need to write down here the path dot dots as declares here the path like here. So we need to configure for this data here and to set this here. Now we need to write down here the post methods for service call static void post for the multiparts to create here. First one, so need to set here the parameters map slash string, and we need to set here the dynamic type parameters. Give this first parameters name. Then after need to set here the path of service calls. So need to give this here the service URLs like here's, and other things is optional. So need to declare here. First one, so need to give this here the bool is token API like slash is equal to need to set this here the fail like here's, and we need to success blocks and fail blocks need to also need to write down here the with success and response fail question mark with fail. Like we need to create for these functions need to write down here, and we need to set here for this data, and now we need to create here the brackets, and we need to write down here the future callbacks inside here semicolons, and to write down here the try catch like here's we need to set here's if here the gets any errors, then to write down here the if failure is not equal to null, then to pass this here the failures blocks a dot to string need to return here's like this. Else parts need to write down here's and to set this here's. Now need to write down here the where dot headers need to write down here's is equal to set here content types application slash x www form URL encoded. Like this, we need to write this here the line of codes we need to set here for helper class headers like this set. Now we need to declare if here the tokens is token API. This means we need to set here the headers as we need to pass here the access token. Here's is equal to maybe we need to declare here the variables for the type here's static map, and we need to set here the user objects is equal to blank objects sets, and another's need to declare here the user type. By default set here the user like this. We need to configure here. Now if we need to found here user, and we need to get this here the auth tokens need to pass like this as convert as a string optionals like this. Otherwise need to write down here the to string. This is the way. Now we need to use this here the HTMLs variables. We need to use here HTTP dots. We need to call this here the post methods, and we need to pass this here the URI dot parse functions. We need to use here URI, and we need to set here the path like here's to give this here the full path. Then after body inside we need to give this here the parameters. Then after need to pass here the headers as I need to give this here the headers parameters like this, and then to give this here call here the then functions, and we need to get this here the response of value need to return here as value like here's. Let's here the callback functions semicolons, and if here not gets, then we need to catch here the error, set here the errors e like here's error catching here's. Now then inside we need to call here the if here the debugs, okay, debug mode, then to print this here the response for the value dot body like here's. If not debug modes, then to write down here the try catch we need to call here's, and same as need to pass this here the failures need to write here. And now where JSON object is equal to JSON dot, so need to call this here the decode method, so need to call here decodes value dot body like here's, as I need to parse here the map string dot dynamic optionals if not found, then to set this here the blank value. Now we need to get here the if success is not equal to null, and to pass this here the response JSON object. Like we need to writing here the API and to WX x-www form URL and codes API need to done here. Now same as need to develop this here the multiparts API. We need to developing here for the files we need to put here. Now we need to create here multiparts API common. Now we need to write down here static void and to write down here the multipart, and we need to pass this here the parameters as a string dynamic. Set here the string like here and pass this to parameters. Maybe here set here the dynamic is good. Need to change here the type parameter. Now we need to write down here the string as need to give this here the path for this API, and same as now need to copy this here the optional like here's it's here these brackets like this. And one more things we need to add here for the image. Need to write down here the map string, and we need to set this here the file types question mark image object like this. Need to pass here for years and also import this here the IO like here's. Now same as now need to copy this here the API calls. We need to copy and we need to paste this here. Now need to change here the functions like here. Now to write down here first of all the URI is equal to need to write down here the URI parse. Need to call these functions like here's semicolons. Now need to create here the request for the multiparts http dot multipart request and to give this here the method post and to pass here the URI like here's. We need to write here the functions request dots. We need to call this here the fields add field, and we need to set here the parameters like this calls, and we need to pass this here the string. Maybe need to change here dynamic not work, always gets here the string value. That's why I need to errors here we are getting here. And is tokens then to write down here the remove these functions like headers. Need to write down here the request dot headers, and we need to call here the add alls like here's set here the access token, and we need to pass this here the value of access tokens like this, and remove these functions here, and we need to write down here the semicolon like here. And now is token API like this sets here. Now set here the one debug flags and to print this here the parameters of request. Need to print here print, and we need to set here the service call set here the path, same as copy paste this here, and we need to write down here the param, also print this here the parameters. For the debug purpose we need to need this here which parameters we need to pass here. That's why I need to needs here And we need to set here the two string functions call here like this, and also need to set here the headers like here's creating, and we need to call this here the request dot headers to string print here's. Now we need to create here's if image object. We need to found here's not equal to null, means here the founds image data. That's why I need to give this here the image object for each loop calls we need to, and we need to pass here the key and value. Well, like here's asynchronize methods we need to call here, semicolons, and we have to write down here the where multipart file is equal to, need to call this here the http dot multipart file is equal to set here the field name as a key, and stream as need to pass this here the value. Dots need to call this here the read bytes. Dot as a stream need to put here and give this here the length value dot length since, and after give this here the file name pt td dot base names, and we need to pass this here the value of path like here's. We need to calling like this here the functions creating here's multipart files. Now request dots need to fields and add here not fields files dot add, and we need to give this here the multipart file like this given here, and we need to create here. Now we need to change this here the API calls, remove this here, and we need to set this here the request dot send functions we need to calls like here, and we need to get this here the response objects we need to get here response like here, and we need to set here get here the value where value is equal to, need to get here the await functions response dot stream dot transform utf 8 dot decoders to join like here's, and we need to call like this here the value debugs, and we need to call here the since methods, and we need to print here the value and also decode this here like this value, as we need to calling here the functions we need to set here. Same as another catch blocks we need to write down here for the API calls on socket exceptions catch. Need to these functions and paste this here sketch. So here same as copy, and we need to give this like here catch specific socket. Save here, and this is the multiparts API. We need to creatings are the done. If you like this video, please give the thumbs up. If you user, so please subscribe my channels and press the notification bell icon. You can get every new video notifications and awesome content. If you have any question, so please write down the comment sections. I will help you and sort out your issue. Everyone have a nice day. Goodbye and take care.